Today is Wednesday, August the 6th, 2025. We have a lot to talk about in today's tropical weather outlook and discussion. We have a tropical wave here deemed Invest 96L. This is going to remain an out-to-sea storm, a fish storm, as it remains over the open waters of the Atlantic. We have another tropical wave that we're watching very closely that is going to be coming off of Africa in the next couple of days. There's decent model support that will also develop potentially into our next named storm down the line. We'll see how that all plays out. There's a lot of uncertainty. And then, of course, there's another area of interest that the NHC is watching very closely. So in today's tropical weather outlook and discussion, we'll be breaking down all those details. Now, if you haven't been here before and you do find these tropical weather outlook and discussions very helpful, detailed, informative, and life-saving, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that bell notification icon to get all of my daily tropical weather updates, including live stream coverage on tropical storms or hurricanes near you. Hit that like button and share this video with their family and friends on social media. So here's a look at the very latest GOES 19 True Color Visible Satellite imagery provided by Dr. Levi Cowan at tropicaltidbits.com. There's a link in the description below this video, and we can see where Invest 96L is clearly located based on the deep explosive convection that we're seeing. This tropical wave and anything that it does end up developing is going to be moving out to sea and will not bother anybody at all. That's not what we're focused in on today's video, however. We're focused in on what comes off of Africa, though, in the next couple of days that has a lot of model support and some aggressive model support from both the Euro and GEFS ensembles, indicating that we could potentially see some significant development out here somewhere in the MDR or the southwestern Atlantic in the next 7 to 10 days. There's also another area that we really need to pay close attention to. We could see a couple of surprises on this part of the map due to, one, the NHC highlighting an area of disturbed weather. We have new convection that is popping up this afternoon around a low-level center that has spun up a little bit stronger. And then, of course, there's another area that no one has really been talking about, and I think it's a good idea that we start addressing that in today's video, especially since this is very close to the Lesser and Greater Antilles. So with that being said, let's take a look now at all of our global computer models, because there is a lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear-mongering, a lot of hype out there, a lot of noise on social media on any tropical development out there in the MDR. Some people are going crazy at showing a category 3 or 4 hurricane off the Florida coast in 354 hours, which I do not believe whatsoever, just because there is a great deal of uncertainty. So we're going to first look at our European model, the ECMWF, and looking at our 850 millibar vorticity plot. This is the tropical wave that we are watching very closely, deemed Invest 96L. This is not going to bother anybody at all. There is Dexter well to the northwest of 96L up there in the basically the northern Atlantic. Going over the next couple of days, there is what is left with 96L. Here, not really enthused on the European model. Some other models are a little bit bullish at showing that becoming our next named storm, which I am monkey in the middle on that. But it's really this second wave, folks, that is going to be coming off of Africa that we really need to be watching very closely right here, okay? It's this big, broad, sprawling area of the West African monsoon trough that is going to spring into life, and we could see some development out of this for sure. So going out to 5 to 6 to even 7 days here, we do have what appears to be a strong tropical wave that forms here on the Euro. If we look at prior European model runs, this is a little bit more bullish, especially from last night's 0Z run. And if we look at the 12Z run from yesterday, definitely quite bullish. So therefore, we will take this with a grain of salt because of that great deal of uncertainty. Again, until this actually moves off of Africa, there's going to be a lot of la land or fantasy model runs that people will be posting on X. All right, that's what they do. They keep us watching their posts. They keep us clicking on them and watching things. All right. So because of that, I'm going to stop at day 8 because there is a lot of noise beyond this point in time. All right, so the Euro showing a strong tropical wave, maybe, okay, there's like a 10 to 20% chance of a tropical depression forming in 8 days from the European model. All right, so that would be for August the 14th on Thursday. Let's take a look now at our GFS model, the American model. Let's see what that's telling us, right? This is a little bit more of a bullish model, especially on Invest 96L, which isn't too surprising given that we have a lot of convection, a lot of upward lift in the atmosphere. Here comes the next tropical wave that comes off of Africa. This is pretty broad in nature. So again, where exactly will we get vorticity or spin? The GFS thinks this part of the larger, broader envelope of vorticity is going to spin something up and become something really big out there, while other models focus this area up here. That's why, again, we cannot speculate and be like, oh, the GFS is showing something really big. So we will go out to 5 days and show you that that's what the GFS is showing. And not only that, it's going absolutely wicked crazy on this plot. This is the 12Z model. All right, the 18Z is going to be very different than this, but it is 5 days out. There is Dexter. There is a unnamed storm of some sort off the northeast coast. And then here is what could be our next named storm. And then here's a system that we will be looking at, the ensembles. I'm not too worried about it yet in the Caribbean. That's why we're going to look at the ensembles more closely at that to see if the GFS is onto something. And then there is the second wave. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, this is really nothing to really worry about. It's more of an extratropical cyclone of some sort. But my goodness, there is a lot of energy out here in the Atlantic that we will have to keep a close tabs on. Going all the way out to 7 days, the GFS wants a tropical storm or hurricane. I mean, are you kidding me, GFS? Like, hello, wake up. We're not going to fantasy land here. This is too soon to get something out here to develop. And it will be conservative until it finds the most intense deep convection that is currently going on in Africa. And it thinks that that's going to persist. So you end up seeing a very strong tropical storm or hurricane here on the GFS. And then beyond that, all the way out to day 8, you can see that therefore it moves rather slow. But I am taking this with a grain of salt. This is very low confidence. And in fact, such a low confidence that it was not even there on the last model run in the first place. So this is the first run it's showing that. And we'll see what the 18Z shows if, well, the 18Z doesn't start rendering at all for another 30 or 45 minutes. So we won't be looking at that today. So now looking at the artificial intelligence model here rather quickly, you can see that it doesn't do much at all with that current wave. It jumps itself very quickly up here and remains like a tropical depression at the very most. Dexter is barricaded within this background northwesterly flow. We have this main big tropical wave, that second wave that everyone is watching. There's a lot of model support on that. But because the artificial intelligence model is really jumping the gun, again, it is so significant that I am not even going to go beyond the 8-day mark for many reasons. And you guys are going to tell me, like, please go beyond 8 days. There's no reason to do that because at the end of the day, beyond 8 days is more than plenty of time to get prepared for something if it does develop. And secondly, there's a lot of, what would you call it? There's a lot of fantasy model runs, okay, to the point that they're disgusting to even look at. I mean, I will kind of give you a preview. The artificial intelligence wants a major hurricane not far off the Florida coast. The GFS the same way too. And that's why I'm just not going to really put stock into that. And we are limiting ourselves here in today's video with putting this only out to about 8 days. Other YouTubers will go out to 10 days to 384 hours out because they want to show something really big on their YouTube video, but not me. I'm really holding down the lever here for right now at this given time. So the next 3 days on the Canadian model, we see that tropical wave coming off of, wait, this is the current one. This tends to go a little further to the west, which I strongly disagree with. I think it's going to be barricaded more up in here somewhere because of this weakness in the subtropical ridge. And so therefore, this is probably an outlier on the Canadian model at showing any tropical development. And as we go out to, let's go to 192 hours out, we see our next tropical wave here coming off of Africa. That's wave number 2. And look at it. It's actually not showing a tropical storm or hurricane, unlike our GFS model. So what in the heck is up with other models showing a lot of development while the Euro is backing off on that just a little bit? It does show development, but not for another, say, 10 plus days out. And this is because we, again, have a lot of this dry air. This is the Saharan air layer, not to be confused by Saharan dust, which is actual aerosols of dust particles blowing off of Africa. That does not represent dry air. You could still have a lot of dry air. The air is sinking, very stable, even without Saharan dust coming off of Africa. So I really wanted to make that very clear in this video, that just because we don't have Saharan dust way out here or way over here does not mean that we don't have dry air at all. Okay, there's a lot of dry air out here, very stable, and that's why models are not very enthused right now about any development out there in the next 7 days. Although that wave 96L will be an out to sea storm, unlike our second wave, which we'll have to keep closer tabs on. The wind shear, though, however, in the Atlantic will remain very light, anywhere between about 5 to 10 to maybe 15 knots, especially over here in the southwestern Atlantic, across much of the subtropical Atlantic as well, looking at virtually not much activity. So this is residual deep layer vertical wind shear just moving all about in here. And so as a whole, we're looking at below average vertical wind shear vectors and values. So now it is time to clear up the confusion. Well, not really, but looking at our signals as far as our tropical Atlantic goes. And therefore, let's take a look now at our ensemble models, okay? Remember that wave that we were talking about at the beginning of the video, that there could be some development? Well, this is not hype. This is not fear-mongering, because this is 4 days out. This is 96 hours out from, well, this morning. So less than 96 hours out, more like 90 hours out from happening. And what we have is, of course, we all know this wave right here, right? That was the threatening system that we were watching 7 days ago. Remember how there were some crazy solutions over here? Things have backed off. Here is our second tropical wave that we are going to watch very closely on the ensemble. But you would never know. There's another wave that we have to keep close tabs on here. And you're probably wondering, like, dude, why are you focused on sudden a tropical wave that the ensembles are picking up, and it's only been consistent for 2 model runs? Because we have seen that uptrend. In fact, if we go to Weather Nerds right now, and we go to our 12Z output and go to, let's go to day 4 right here and hit that plot and go back to our 0Z run from last night and save that image, you can actually see a huge difference what makes, right? Yesterday or last night's 0Z run showed very little support, while this run shows a lot more support. So we will have to see and wait to have the 0Z come out and tell us, did this uptrend, did this downtrend? But there's not a whole lot of support, but whatever there is here, there is definitely some strong solutions here indicating a strong tropical storm out there in the central, greater, and lesser Antilles. Now, going beyond that, you can see here is 96L. There's our mysterious wave that we're watching. And then here comes the second wave coming off of Africa as it moves generally towards the west, right over here in the southwestern tropical Atlantic, while we are keeping an eye on this other area over here moving through the Caribbean, because as you know, there are some intense model solutions that this is picking up on that wave that is approaching the Caribbean. So therefore, I would not be too surprised if the 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook does include 2 lemons, 2 yellow areas, one over here off the African coast, and another one over here eventually over the Caribbean. Now, I don't want to jump ahead of myself and say that this area is going to be the one that we have to watch most concerningly versus the one that's coming off of Africa, because this has lower confidence, lower model support, but stronger members in intensity versus our wave here. So I would really still focus more on this wave right now coming off of Africa than the one that we are going to be watching in the Caribbean. But as you know, things could flip on a dime very quickly. So with that all out of the way, let's take a look now at our current sea surface temperatures in the Gulf, and then we'll look at the Caribbean and the rest of the Atlantic, because this is very, very concerning. I mean, I don't really like to overhype or cause a lot of fear, but this is not good at all. Water temperatures up here in the upper 80s into the low 90s, especially these shelf waters right here off the coast of, say, near Key West, Florida. If you are in Sarasota, Tampa Bay, Cedar Key, Florida, man, these water temperatures are in the low 90s, between 90 to 92 degrees in Fahrenheit. In fact, I saw one area here in Tampa reporting a sea surface temperature of about 93 degrees yesterday. So this is really, really alarming, because if you think about it, under a perfectly favorable environment, you get a lot of moisture that piles up. We get a lot of latent heat release. We get some big time tropical systems that flirt throughout the Gulf and could pop up very quickly without warning, like what we could be seeing out there in the southeastern portion of the Caribbean. So please take this into account, that water temperatures here are very warm, and they are definitely above the long-term average, as you can see here in the eastern and northeastern half of the Gulf, running at least 1 degree to 2 degrees above the long-term average. I understand these are shelf waters. They are able to cool very quickly, but I'm just letting you all know water temperatures are flat out concerning now in the northwestern Caribbean, in the southwestern Atlantic, and the Gulf. So looking at the rest of the Atlantic here, water temperatures are more than favorable right now for tropical development, especially in the southwestern Atlantic, in the Caribbean, and in the Gulf. So now another thing we want to show you here is sea surface temperature anomalies. These are all above average here, coming off of Africa all the way up into the subtropical Atlantic, the southwestern Atlantic, the main development region, the Caribbean, the Gulf, running well above normal for this time of the year of August the 5th. This is delayed by a day, but right now running about 1 to 2 degrees above the long-term average, above normal. Okay, now when it comes to how much energy there is being stored in the ocean, this is a look. Let's actually do that. So looking at the amount of energy, not just at the surface, but below the surface. So this is telling us how much upper ocean heat content is being stored deep down below the surface. Higher the numbers, the more rich heat content you have in the waters. And boy, oh boy, look at this. Very, very high upper ocean heat content right now. Some of the highest we have seen at least since 2024 of last year. Right now, some of these white speckled areas are greater than 200 units. It's very high, I'm telling you right now. And the Gulf Stream here, very high upper ocean heat content. All it takes is one system, folks, that comes off of Africa. If it tracks this way or goes out to here, we could see some big time strengthening with these systems as they move off of Africa, or if we see any sneaky development like what we're seeing over here. This has a lot of upper ocean heat content to work with, and that is why we really got to watch the tropics. Even so, things are relatively quiet despite Dexter and 96L. Those are out to sea, but what we have to look at is what's ahead. And what we have right now is a lot of upper ocean heat content for these tropical waves to tap into. And I'm telling you, if it happens at the wrong time, we are going to have big problems. Also, if you haven't been here before and you did find today's tropical weather outlook and discussion very helpful, detailed, informative, and life-saving, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, folks. Hit that bell notification icon to get all daily tropical weather outlook and discussions here on the channel, including live streaming coverage on any tropical storm or hurricane that threatens any land area in the United States or the Caribbean. Hit that like button and share this video with your family and friends on social media. As always, have a great rest of your Wednesday here on the 6th day of August. I'm going to sign off for the day. I'll be back with you more tomorrow with another detailed tropical weather outlook and discussion. We're almost up to 50,000 subscribers, people.